I'm Courtney. Today we're going to go through a little travel journal that I created. My new thing right now is when I travel to make a visual memento of it by doing some illustrations. And in this day of camera phones and quick photos, it's nice to have a permanent record. It's like writing a letter or sending a postcard. So I hope you enjoy this, and if you like my art, continue to follow me on my Instagram, Coco Collection Art, and enjoy. Favorite things looking at on Instagram and YouTube are when artists do sketchbook flip-throughs videos because they're so inspiring. And there was a time that I have had so many sketchbooks that I've left abandoned. So it's really an accomplished feeling to be able to finish a sketchbook in its entirety. And I love this Sennelier sketchbook I got on Amazon for about $13 to $14. And they say it has 8 panels or 9 panels, but if you use the inside of the book, which has that same heavyweight paper, you can get about 10 panels out of there. And if you're really adventurous, you can use the back and continue documenting your travels. So this would be a great idea for those of you that travel, for students, or even a project with your kids. And everybody can contribute to it, and it's a memento of a great trip. And just as, if not even more lasting than a letter or a postcard. As I said earlier, it's so easy to take a gazillion pictures in your camera phone, but to really capture what you saw and record via painting or drawing in a sketchbook is amazing. So, the first 2 panels I did were of the Eads Bridge. And if you look, beside the watercolor and ink illustration I did, I found the great washi tape from Michaels, which I like because that gave the impression of one of those airmail envelope letters that you just don't see those a lot anymore. So I love that look to it. And then this tape signified the globe and travel. So I just use that to embellish. And if you look closely, you can really see the grain of that paper. I went ahead and I signed each panel. The next was the largest illustration because it was so large in scope, and that took 4 panels of this book. And this was the American Queen riverboat on the Mississippi River. And you can see the background of St. Louis in the back. And you want to make sure your embellishment is not interfering so much with your illustration. So you see I stopped and I started again. But it still gives that impression of a postcard. And again, put these here because that kind of reminded me of a postage stamp. The high rises. I love the big red wheel that makes the riverboat go, in the American Queen. Again, the city in the background. And this is cool because this is the St. Louis side. And then on the other side of the river, you have the Illinois side, which is all factories and kind of barren. And it just folds up. So neat. And then we get to my next illustration. I did about 4 scenes. I really didn't have a lot of time in St. Louis. I really only had 1 full day of sightseeing. And so all this was basically around the Gateway Arch. Just some pictures I took. Even the pictures weren't that remarkable, but as an artist, you go back into that memory and you look at that picture. You might use the edit feature to bring out lighting and colors that you may have missed from the picture and wanted to capture. And what I liked about this when I took the picture was you could see the old courthouse where the famous Dred Scott decision was made, and the Gateway Arch in the background. Dred Scott was an important decision because the state of Missouri was a slave-holding state and Illinois wasn't. And Dred Scott was a former slave. So the decision about whether a slave that has been freed can keep that freedom was groundbreaking in our history. Eventually, of course, it all got overridden. And then this is my favorite illustration, my last one. I was kind of perplexed what to do. I was either going to do the old St. Louis Cathedral, but this was just me standing on the steps and watching the banks of the Mississippi River, the horse ride carriages going by. I don't know, I just like the feel of this. It's very impressionistic. It kind of reminds me of something that I've seen before, or style. Again, that impressionist genre. Friends have said I'm neo-impressionist, so maybe that's what it is. And just quick watercolor and ink. So that was the 2 panels, and then in the end, going horizontal, that washi tape, as we were in the beginning. So it's just a long visual postcard of your travels, a nice keepsake. I definitely plan to order more of these. They are on the pricier realm. You can get larger accordion sketchbooks that have more panels, but for a quick trip, because you want to enjoy the sights, these are things you're going to work on from your memories when you get home. Or you might do it when you're sitting out there in plein air, but I like to record first with the camera and then work at home. For a quick trip, I thought 10 panels is more than enough. And like I said before, if you're really adventurous, you can use that backside and continue recording. So who knows, I might use this on my next little quick trip coming up. The only travels I have planned so far is in the fall for a big milestone birthday party. And that's for Maui. But I think I want to do a more dedicated sketchbook for that and not share it. In hindsight, maybe I might go back and record some New York drawings from my previous trip and do some more New York drawings on the back, because I don't want to waste. It's such good paper and such a good value, and I just love it. I love playing with the accordions. Thanks for watching.